question for Mrs. Bolio. Mrs. Bolio, as the incumbent candidate, I would like to know how you would, it's actually a two-part question. One, how you would defend or explain your vote to renew Dr. Morrell's contract 2 years ago, just prior to the new school committee coming in. And two, last winter, spring, restructuring. The restructuring proposal was obviously a very big, heated issue. It was a big issue for us here at Ashton. We were very concerned about losing our school. You know, I know you attended PTO meetings here, but I know I was concerned that you never actually spoke out and gave an opinion on why you were for or against restructuring. And even at the meeting, when every member of the committee, or almost every member of the committee, kind of made a statement about what they thought about it, you never spoke out on an issue that was really tearing the community apart, and I'd like to know why that was.
Okay, so we'll start with the first one, which is defending or renewing the contract for the superintendent at that time. And well, I would say that I felt at that time that it had to do with the continuity of administrators, and to what Mrs. Cucciani talked about earlier was people were leaving the district, and there was a reason they were leaving the district. 4 or 5 years prior, we had 6 administrators leave the district. So we struggle with that, and there's a reason and a purpose for why they're leaving, whether it's money or the commitment of resources to schools. At that time, I felt it was in the best interest of the district to renew it, to allow for some level of continuity, because we had significant transition of administrative staff from the top level down to the principals, and I felt that that was destructive to kids, it was destructive to teachers. So that's why I made that decision at that time.
Could I just give you a follow-up? Why not wait until the election after November and let the new school committee do it? Because wasn't it done just prior to the new school, or just prior to the new school committee being sworn in?
Yep, it was something that was proposed by the committee at that time, and again, it was a decision I felt I wanted to make at that time. I know there have been folks that have been in opposition to contracts that are binding, but we've certainly felt that there are decisions like teacher contracts. They are binding. There are other type of contracts for services that are binding, and so at that time I made that decision. I wouldn't make that same decision today. The second part of the question, the restructuring as far as opinion, I didn't feel I had enough facts to state an opinion, in part because I felt I couldn't get the answers about what academic improvements it was going to offer. I couldn't get an answer as far as the busing. I couldn't get a specific answer as far as could we retrofit a school. Is there a letter in hand that says we could do that? So I could not get those answers. And until I had those answers, I really couldn't state an opinion. I'm finished? Thank you.
2 minutes is even shorter.
It is, certainly is.
My bad, two-part question.
You should have had 4 minutes.
I did ask a two-part question.
You should have had 4 minutes.
Yeah, I would like to take another minute because Ms. Toncelli asked many questions.
Can I finish?
Please
do you mind? Yeah, I felt that, you know, if you look at the perspective of money, at that time we were told there was no money. And we had to make some pretty dramatic, drastic decisions because the sky was falling. The money coming from the Department of Ed was less, the General Assembly's money. The town's money we knew was going to be less. What choice do you have but to look at all the options on the table? And so instead of just saying from the get-go, I couldn't support anything that that was going to be any change, I really had to look at all of the options. And until it got to the point where I couldn't get the answers to the questions, the fundamental questions that everyone had asked, transition, busing, I couldn't say with specificity that this was or wasn't going to work. How's that? Thanks. I appreciate that.
Would any of the other candidates like to weigh in?
I'd like to weigh in. I'm not going to vote for it one way or the other. We have the money. We just need to see it. We have a business manager and a superintendent of schools who have decided what they're going to give to us, and the members of the school committee and town council, whatever it may be, for their budget items. We have the money. We had $500,000, we had $600,000 surplus this year. That was, we only needed 500 with savings for this. I'm not gonna vote for it. We're gonna take away from our traditional K through 5 schools, and we're gonna be the only school system in the state. We're not the only school system in the state that needs money. Everyone does. Cumberland is, they're talking about, we may receive up to about another $4 million in the next few years with this new student formula coming in. Why are we talking about doing this program here when we know we got more money already coming in? So I personally am not gonna vote for it, one iota. I like the traditional schools. Siblings, brothers and sisters, they come here, parents know where they're going. We'll have kids over here, over here, over here, and parents aren't gonna be able to handle it. Never mind, child care issues. So I think what we did, we wasted $11,000, whatever the cost for the study is, and we just needed to, 15, all right, and we need to change it. And we need to say, no, we're not gonna do it, because come on, we can't get numbers now in regards to where we are with the children, and like Lisa said, and we're not gonna get it from Dr. Morrell, that's for sure. Do we have to retrofit the schools? We just spend enough money, yeah? I mean, how much more do we have to do? The schools should stay the way they are, and we should figure out how to pay for it, with the money coming in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I worked here for 33 years, and for 33 years I heard the same story every year. We don't have enough money to do that. Now, for 33 years they didn't have enough money, and they're still singing the same song. It's like the boy who cried wolf. I don't believe it anymore. Especially when I come up with a surplus like that. I was very upset about when I heard about the redistricting, because I too am somewhat of a traditionalist in that I want my neighborhood kids to go to the same place to have the same experience. I don't want one child on a bus for 45 minutes and one child on a bus for 15, and then having the parents try to decide, well, it's parent visitation, which way do we go, and what it's bad enough when you have more than one and it's in the same school and it's the same evening. So, I don't know, I just was very upset, plus the fact that, and I think Ms. Beaulieu spoke about this, there was no foundation, nothing that could give it, no research base for this. It was just an idea that came to someone, it seemed. And so I was very unhappy with that. As far as the people leaving, there's a reason for that, and I think a lot of people just didn't want to see it. That, people have been lied to and dismissed and hurt, and a lot of things happened to administrators as well as to teachers over the last few years, and it just was very unprofessional, and it certainly responded with even some of the newer people saying, this is not worth it. It wasn't the money. We're not in it for the money. We weren't in it for the money, because we wouldn't be at the lowest paid school system in the state if we were. But that's what happened, and I can point in many, many directions as to incidents about that. So, and it just wasn't administrators, it was teachers also.
Can I just say something quickly about the restructuring? I was opposed to the elementary restructuring because I didn't see anything that showed me it was going to increase student achievement. I wasn't opposed to it necessarily just on its face, and the reason that I say that is that we have 2 schools right now, elementary schools, that are essentially busting at the seams, and we have 1 school that is at 40% capacity. So I'm not going to sit here and tell people that I think everything's going to stay the way it is, because I don't think that that's possible. To have a building that's running only 40% filled and have other ones that literally have no space, I have a feeling something's going to have to give. The proposal that I saw in February certainly wouldn't be the solution that I would find, but whether it's going to be some sort of, my common sense tells me that they're at least going to be redrawing boundary lines, and I can say now that, assuming that that was done well, if it was going to make the space and the sharing of space more equitable, that is something that I would definitely consider supporting.